So this video is for everybody, particularly those that live in areas that are prone to natural disasters like hurricanes, tropical storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it. Even those that live in areas that have been known to get, pretty serious blizzards where you'll be, trapped where you're at for, days, maybe weeks. So, and some of this advice comes from experience. I lived in an area where in 1999 we had Hurricane Floyd, flooded a large portion of eastern North Carolina, and did a lot of destruction. Pre-internet, so there wasn't a whole great deal of news coverage on it. There was no social media to keep track of it. And it was not a major urban center that was completely wiped out, that had a large population. I think the biggest city that was flooded was possibly Rocky Mount. As the water moved down, I know New Bern got some flooding, but but at coastal plains, floods are different than in the mountains, just because of the topography and the type of soil you got. But even then, guys, cash was king, and you needed supplies because you weren't sure how long it was going to take to get water, food, or whatever to your home. Not too many years later, we had Katrina. We saw Katrina where the power grid failed in New Orleans, and people were without food, water, electricity. But if you had plastic, you couldn't go buy things. And then we got this current hurricane that dumped all this water in the mountains of the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, has caused large flooding, mass displacement, even changes to topography. And, because the power grid is down, credit cards don't work, debit cards don't work, preloaded debit cards don't work, gift cards won't work. The people that still have checks, you can't write checks because they can't run them through the little check machine. ATMs are down, so cash is king. If you don't have cash, you can't have things. So it's important, guys. Carry cash. Have cash in reserve in a stockpile. Truck drivers, it's a good idea to have a go bag, and I recommend a go bag be a backpack. Have a couple days of clothes in there. Maybe you rotate them out or keep them in there all the time. Have some toiletries in there, and have cash. I recommend a couple $100, $200, $300, maybe even $400 in cash. And you say, well, I don't have that right now. Build it up slowly, because we see where guys were stranded in their trucks in Black Mountain as the floodwaters rose really fast, and they got to get home, and they need to buy food and stuff. And let's say you get into an area where a tornado blows through, right? And you can't, for whatever reason, you can't leave. You get snowed in, blizzard, stuck somewhere, power grid goes down. The only way you're going to get supplies is if you have cash. Have food in your home, have food in the truck stored up. I'm not talking like months and months and months and months. I'm just talking like, if you're in your truck, man, have at least a week's worth of food stored and set aside in reserve. And you say, I don't have a lot of room in the truck. You know what canned food keeps? You can store 5 cans of food somewhere. In your home, you can use MREs. You can order meals ready to go or whatever from Patriot Supply. You can, not a paid promotion, by the way. You can go to your outdoor store, even Walmart, and go to the camping section, and they've got food for campers and hikers that are in these little Ziploc bags. It's like a dehydrated food. All you gotta do is add water to it, and you've got a meal. And they're not terrible. They're not super good, but they're not terrible, right? And they keep. So you'll have food. You don't need to take up a lot of room in your house. Let's say you live in a small apartment. Well, I don't have room to store stuff. Well, meals ready to eat, MREs, those dehydrated meal packets for your campers and your hikers and stuff like that. It takes up very little space, and you can easily have yourself, 2, 3, 4 weeks of food at a relatively decent price. Same with water. A lot of people, you have all these cups around the house, all these Stanley cups, and all these, Yeti, and you name it. Fill them up with water when the weather front's coming in, and you don't have to worry about having to try to go out in town and find bottled water or jugs of water. See, down in the eastern part of the state, we know when big hurricanes are coming that we need to stock up on water. One of the things that we have done is a lot of times we'll clean the bathtub up real good and we'll fill the bathtub full of water. And that way we got numerous days of water stored up so we can stay hydrated and use for cooking. Plus, we will have gallon jugs of water sitting around that we keep. It's a good thing for the rest of you to do also. If you're in a truck or RV and you travel, have like a big 40-pack of water or a couple of gallon jugs of water that you store just to the side. But these things are important because you cannot trust the government. The government, although they will say they're there to help you, the government is hopelessly mired in bureaucratic red tape, despite the best intentions of the members of the different bureaucratic agencies that are involved. And we see that they are slow to ramp up, they're slow to get you to help, they're inefficient in doing it. The best, most efficient resource is the more localized it gets, the better it is. So, not saying that all government is intentionally bad. Just government by its nature is bad. It's not good. It's not very helpful. They're more helpful in the long run than they are in the short immediate term. And it reminds me of Ronald Reagan saying the scariest words in the human language is, to paraphrase, "I'm from the government. I'm here to help," because we know that the government can get in its own way. And we also see at the local level how certain government agencies, we're hearing stories now about law enforcement agents, officers, police chiefs, fire chiefs, actually actively getting in the way of help and aid, threatening arrest and bullying people and not allowing people to do these things. And I'm not saying it's everywhere. That's not a super large scale, but where these stories are coming out now with videos of it happening. So you've got to take care of you. You've got to be prepared for you and your family. You cannot rely on the government. You cannot rely on the grocery store to be there to be able to get you supplies either. You can't rely on the transportation industry, the supply chain to get it to you, because we may not be able to get it to you. And the more remote you live, the more rural your home is, the more supplies you need, because the longer it's going to take to get to you. So yeah, there's that. Be safe.